watching Living Life by Design with Amanda Machaka. Today in studio we are joined by Matshidiso Lelaka, who went from cleaner to doctor. So join us as she tells us how she went and beat the odds that were against her.
Tidi, welcome to Channel Africa and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's an honor.
It's not a common story, hey? That you get to hear about somebody who cleaned hotel rooms and waited tables and has gone to be a doctor of philosophy. Where did you even get the drive to see yourself turning things around like that? What inspired you?
I think the profession of social work has been in me, and it was an inner voice that I had to listen to myself, because I'm somebody who's very loving, who's compassionate, and I've been surrounded by people who provide love and support throughout the journey, from my family and the surrounding community, and from my church as well. So I've never been confused with a profession as young as 14 or 15 years of age. I've been aware that the social work profession, and when I was aware, I learned more about social work. And there was this book, it was called Reader's Digest in the olden days. I used to read that book. It was full of stories of different professions, universities, points, career guidance. So I used that book and I kept it for so many years. So each time when I was bored, I'll go to that book and read a lot of things from that book, even things that I didn't understand. But then I was mostly touched by what social worker do in the community, and I wanted to reach out, and it was talking more with my personality, because I'm a very sweet person. I have a very polite personality, and I relate well with people, so it was relating to me, and it helped me to come out of my shell.
So growing up as a little girl in Dikloof, Soweto, you always knew that this is a line of work that you wanted to pursue, to be a social worker. How much of support did you get from your mom?
I've got support from all angles of my family, from my mom, from my son, from my siblings. And when I started working, basically, I knew that when I went to be a waitress or housekeeper, I knew that there is a short-term project. We learned to share. We learned to love. And we're doing that even today. And this is what also we share to our neighbors and community.
What was so special about your dream that you refused to give up on it, even when the circumstances were saying, look, you can give up now?
The sense of being happy with your profession and giving it back to the community in return, that's a big deal for me. Because sometimes when you achieve something, you don't only benefit yourself, you benefit other people. And it's exactly what I'm doing even now. And having a dream, I've always invested in thinking that being a social worker in my family, I'll be the first person in my family. And for the fact that I'll be the first person, other people can be other social workers if they wish to, or follow other different professions. But then thinking of a dream and having a vision and being positive throughout was the key thing that kept me to say, you have to focus on this, because anything that came along that journey, I knew those were temporary storms. And I never wanted to entertain that, because I knew that for me to get out of this situation, I have to get educated. Other than that, my mom has always taught us that because we're surrounded by poverty, she told us that I'm not rich, I'm poor. If I die, there's no inheritance that you'll get. The only thing that I can tell you or give you is to say to you, go to school. Education is powerful. It can get you out of your misery. It can get you out of your current poverty. And she told us that how powerful education it is. It's something that nobody can take it away from you. If you decide to die and God remembers you today, you go with it. That's how powerful it is. And she told us that there's things that you cannot guarantee in life. You can get married today, 5 years later get divorced. You get education today, 5 years later, you still have your education with you.
No one can take it away.
No one can take it away from you. So she taught us that this should be a weapon that we can use to get out of our poverty. And it has been like that in my family and my siblings.
I understand that one of your sisters is a pediatrician.
Yeah.
Did you have conversations that just helped you keep going together with her as you were busy pursuing this life of purpose and having to do menial jobs in order to get to where you wanted to be? How did you encourage one another?
The story goes way back from my second eldest brother, who is an attorney. He was the only person who went to university with the help of my aunt. through the tips and the savings at the same time.
Wow.
Yes. And then when he went to Forte, he had to help us to come to Forte at the same time. It's Chimane Lelaka. And he fought when the NEFSAs, which is now they call it, previously it was TEFSA, now it's NEFSAs, when they wanted to make it formal for students with who have challenges to come to the universities. So they had riots, they striked so that these finances can be delivered to students. And the following year, he applied for me because I was working. And he made sure that even if we don't have anything, we must come. So the money that I was making with the tips and the salary, I had to share that with my mom. We had to save it. And then January, we had to go to Forte. My sister didn't apply. She wanted to do medicine. Her points were not very good as such, but then she wanted to pursue BSc degree first, as a first degree, and then use that to pursue medicine. And because she never applied, when I went to Forte, I dragged her along with me. Mm-hmm. And because of we had that close relationship of loving and supporting each other, we went to Forte. She lodged in my room for 6 months without the warden knowing. So she registered social work degree as well, just to be in the system. Mm-hmm. And then at universities around March, that's change of degrees, change of courses. That's when she changed to BSc. And then when she changed for BSc, she still remained lodged in my room for 6 months. Fortunately, we had very good roommates who never reported us because that was cheating. But then we were hungry for education. We were so hungry to get out of our circumstances. Mm-hmm. And by June, we made sure that we study, we get good results so that we can get TEFSA, which is now NEFSAs. And the first 6 months of studying, we never had textbook. What my brother did, he made copies of all the textbooks that we were supposed to use because we had no money for textbooks. So as hungry as we were, we focused, regardless, eating bread and peanut butter all the way. And then we hustled. My mom will send whatever money that she has. And then 6 months later, I got NEFSAs. My sister got NEFSAs. That's when my sister got an opportunity to get a residence and to move to another room. And then I pursued social work and she pursued BSc. With BSc, she completed her BSc 3 years later, and then she decided to use BSc to study for medicine. And at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and today she's practicing as a specialist, as a pediatrician. So we have a different journey, all of us. But then amongst everything, we learned to love and support each other. And along the way, when I finished my social work honors degree, I was one of the first student at Forte to be nominated by ESCOM to do the internship with them at Megawatt Park to provide employee assistance program. And I was earning a salary. Usually social work internship, they don't pay. I was getting money. That money, I had to save it as well for my little brother because he wanted to study become accounting. We had no money. So whatever little money that we had from my siblings, we had to put it together, all of us, pushing one another from one level to the other. And that's how we are successful today. So you can only do that when you love each other, when you share and you support each other, and you understand the needs of each other. And you don't need to be jealous of each other. That doesn't even have a space in the heart. It doesn't exist basically in a family.
And your mother, does she still work at the hotel?
My mom, she's a pensioner. She's 77, and she worked in different hotels. She has been exposed to Holiday Inn, Garden Court, Crown Plaza, Southern Sun Hotel, different types of hotels. And each time when she comes home, she will bring whatever that she have. The leftovers from the hotel, we embrace that because we like them. And we never wasted anything. We will eat whatever that she brought to us because we appreciated small little things that it was put on a table. So we were a family of domestic work. It doesn't start with me. It started way back from my grandmom, who was a domestic worker, and then my older aunt, and then my mom, and then me. I'm the last generation where we never ever see another domestic worker or waitress in my family because I've broke that cycle. But then, however, we learned so much to respect the cleaners. We learn so much to respect the housekeepers because we have the helpers in our families and we treat them as such, as much as exactly. And it's a very nice experience because you take it with you, and as a young woman, you learn these skills as you grow up because one way or the other, you become a guest somewhere, you become a customer somewhere. So being served, all of us at some point, you will be served, and we need to treat people with respect.
All right. After the break, we'll talk more to Tidi.
Hello, my name is Solomon Izanga Shams, and you're watching Life by Design.
Welcome back to Life by Design right here on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Today we have a very, very inspirational story. We're talking to Matshidiso Lelaka. She's from Diepkloof, Soweto, here in South Africa. Matshidiso had to do all the things that she could think of in order for her to get to where she is today. She is now a PhD holder, and she used to do odd jobs like cleaning hotel rooms and waitressing in order to save money and make sure that she gets the education that she needed to escape the conditions that she found herself in, the life of poverty that was surrounding her. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and welcome back, Matshidiso.
Pleasure.
Now, here you are. You graduated from Forte University. You are offered a job at Eskom as a social worker. How did you process all of that, seeing that now your life is changing? Did any of who you are change because of now the newfound change in your life?
The position of intern social worker was quite a very interesting one, but a challenging one at the same time, because Eskom use student social workers to provide a comprehensive intervention for their employees. So imagine dealing with professionals at that level, dealing with management staff at that level, and being a student is quite challenging. But then I had a very, very good supervisor who actually set us down, because it was kind of a competition, because there was one student from UJ, one student from VAS, one student from Forte. So we had to prove ourselves. So we had to be given any case that was coming on. And I remember one of my challenge was to do an HIV counseling to a client who presented with HIV. And at the time, you can just imagine what HIV meant for the community. And my worst fear was this guy is going to transfer or transmit HIV to me. I was so anxious because I never had that knowledge. But then before the interview, what I did is I had to consult other people who are in the space of HIV to say, there is this employee who's coming with this challenge. I don't know, and I'm scared of HIV. I want to provide the intervention, but I'm scared of HIV. So how do I go about it? And then I received just a quick counseling on when it comes to that. And then I did it. It went very well. And I was even offered quite a few cases that were related to trauma, because quite a lot of employees were hijacked and I had to intervene immediately. I was moving from Sentin, Bloemfontein, Soweto up to the East Rand, providing services to Eskom employees. So it was quite a very interesting journey, because you get to understand the challenges employees are facing, underperformance, the depression, personal problems in the workplace at that stage. And it's something that we're not exposed to when it comes to the training of social work in real life. So the practical implementation of social work is completely different from the theory. So when you implement theory, it's completely different, because you go with the knowledge that you have, and implementing is quite challenging. But then I liked it so much and I enjoyed it, and I've traveled and I've learned a lot of social work skills that I've managed to polish. And today I'm able to use such to another level.
Having your first degree, coming from the background that you came from, one would have said, finally, I've arrived. What made you want to continue and go to master's and PhD level?
The profession of social work is not a good paying profession. So you need to make peace with that from the beginning. So it needs to be something that is within your heart, that I want to help people regardless of the circumstances. And secondly, I've studied how the salary improves from the government, because I was exposed to work in the government health sector. And there was a situation where every 3 years, you'll get a promotion. You start as a junior social worker, you move to senior social worker, and then eventually you'll be a chief social worker. I knew definitely I was going to be one of the senior or chief social workers, but then I didn't want to go in that space without acquiring additional qualification. So going to a senior position, it was never a doubt for me. I knew it from the beginning, because I'm a hard worker. And I set my goals and achieve my goals within a certain time frame. So I started initially with small, short courses. And those courses, in a way for me, it was, I want to see if I'll be able to work and study at the same time. That's why I went for short courses, to expose myself to distance learning. And 2-3 years later, when I saw that I'm able to do this, and now I'm used to the systems of UNISA, then I just said I have to do masters, because I wanted to grow in my profession and also see a better salary. And as you work, you interact with a whole lot of people who are professionals. And because I was exposed to a health sector, I was exposed to working with doctors. I've been exposed to working with, in clinical trials, scientists. I've been exposed to work with social workers who've been project managers. And I wanted to see myself at that level. And fortunately, my space, I was surrounded by people who were positive and encouraged me. And I've taken the opportunity. I've never wanted to miss the opportunity. So each time I'll set a time frame to say, okay, I'm going to work in this organization. If I work in this organization, I'm not going to go out only with an experience. I have to match that with a qualification in my entire life experience. So each time when I move for 3 to 4 years in an organization, I'll leave that organization with additional qualification. Yeah. It has been one of my plans that I don't want to be in the same space. But then at the same time, when you do your job that is the same every day, you tend to be burnt out. There's nothing interesting. Your job is predictable. So when you move the job and you move to another department, you're kind of learning new things all the time. So your learning improves all the time. Your competencies improves all the time. You're able to sharpen your skills and knowledge on continuous basis.
And the PhD, in which area is it in?
The PhD it falls under the Department of Health Sciences. So the issue of PhD, it was quite an interesting one because I never wanted to do PhD. I've never supported people who are doing PhD.
So you wanted to end at master's level?
I wanted to end at master's level. But my professor said there is no way you can have a master's and not do PhD because half of the work of PhD is done in masters.
Okay.
So if I would have to compare my PhD with masters, I would say my masters was the hardest compared to PhD. Because in masters, I've learned a whole lot of new things on my own with the support of my supervisor. I had to invest a lot of time, learn new research concepts into deeper level, do in-depth interview, record interview, transcribe, analyze data, that whole process of research. So by the time I went to PhD, I knew what is expected at PhD level because it was the same thing, but then at the deeper level, and the scope is actually wider compared to before. So my PhD was quite interesting because it's just not start from PhD, start from masters because with
it's a build-up.
It's a build-up, exactly, because in masters, my research topic was basically based on the experiences of HIV serodiscordant couples. I wanted to know serodiscordant, how do they cope in such a relationship? Serodiscordance means a couple in a sexual relationship where one is HIV positive and the other one is HIV negative. So I wanted to know how this couple are coping. But then at the end of my research, the results of my master's were quite disturbing because I noticed that, or I found that the couples are really struggling to deal with serodiscordance. They don't have support system. With stigma around them. There's disclosure issues. There's tension. Serodiscordance threatening a whole lot of this couple. So I wanted to further this investigation to see, okay, let me see on the other angle what is happening out there. So in my master's, in my PhD rather, what I did is I studied this couple at the deeper level. And then I separated them. I interviewed them individually. And I also interviewed healthcare providers who are providing services to these healthcare providers to see the kind of support they're providing to these couples. And then I extended my PhD to family members who are supporting these serodiscordant couples because oftentimes in research we focus on patients and we forget about healthcare providers and the family members, which is the key support system to these people. So the ideal thing is I wanted to know what kind of support do this serodiscordant receive from this different group of people, healthcare providers, family members, and they themselves, how do they cope as partners?
And now that you've added the doctor title to your name, how has life changed, if at all, particularly around the family members and perhaps your peers?
The issue of title, it started way back the minute I registered for PhD, but then it was quite a few people who were calling me doctor, and I never see that happening. I saw that from a distance, and last year I had pressure to complete my PhD, and then I could sense that, yeah, this is it. I'm getting there. I'm very close to the title. But then it's really not about the title as such for me. It's about making a difference in my life, proving myself that I can do it so that somebody else can also do the very same thing with the support. If I can be available where possible, I'm more than prepared to share my help with anyone. But then hearing the title of DR, I'm still getting used to it.
You're still processing
I'm
it.
still processing it. It's a very nice one, though.
Of course, it should be. I'd love to add that to my name as well. And you mentioned that you had pressure to complete your PhD. Where was the pressure coming from? And of course, I'm sure it isn't an easy journey as well.
Yeah. There was pressure. Everything goes with pressure, but then pressure is good because it drives you. So with my PhD, I knew from the beginning that I have to complete it within 3 years. I never wanted to do PhD for 4 or 5 years. I never associated myself, and I never wanted to even give it a thought. That's why in 2015, I had to take a break after my master's to think about it, devise a plan, get counseling from my professor, sit down and work on a time frame on how we're going to get to this. And I was also inspired because my professor also did it within 3 years, and I was just like, okay,
so
she
you had
did
an
it,
example.
then I can do it.
Yeah.
And she was so pushy. And my professor, she's one person who's very, very supportive, and she's very dedicated to students. And sometimes I'll just complain to say, Prof, how can Prof do this? If, say, I do a draft proposal or protocol and I finish it and I submit to her overnight, say at 12 midnight, tomorrow before midnight, I'm getting it back. So that means I need to work on the corrections. That's how pressured she kept me. So she never sent anything within a week. It will be between 24 hours to 72 hours. And at some stage, I had to do 2 chapters at the same time. So we've always worked in advance. Say, for an example, I've registered in March 2016. 2016, when I was working on my proposal, it just come back for the corrections. So probably after the second time it came back, she just said, we're almost done with proposal, that's minor challenges, start with chapter 2, do literature review. And then I'll start doing literature review while still polishing the proposal at the same time. And once we're done with the proposal, and then we're doing literature review, and then she'll just say, we're almost halfway with the literature review, do chapter 3. So that's how we've built it up. And each time when I had to push, I had to compromise or sacrifice some of the things. I knew that when I get home, sometimes I'll be at home around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I get home, I spend an hour with the family, take a bath, have a slight snack, study from 8 o'clock until 12 midnight. And wake up in the morning, maybe from 4 until 6 o'clock, try to push. But every Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I had to not attend quite a whole lot of things, including family events. And I'm very active in church, very, very active. And I had to engage my pastor to say, I'm working on this project. If you can just excuse me for 1.5 years, I'm at the crux of my studies and I'll be back. So I use my Sundays effectively to study. So Saturdays, I'll make sure that I sleep around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because I know Sunday I'm not going anywhere. And then I'll wake up on Sunday, plan my day nicely in the morning. Maybe from 8, I'll study up until 1 o'clock, take a break for 2 hours. From there, I hit the desk from 2 until 8 p.m. So it was quite hectic. But then it was worth it. And I never wanted to put extreme pressure on me. And the other thing is, I knew that I'm going to achieve this goal. I knew, I was never frustrated that I won't make it. I will fail, I will drop out, never. I knew that I'm going to achieve, and it has to come with those risks.
You set your mind on
yes.
it, and you knew that this is something that I have to achieve, no matter what. And I'm sure the support that came from the professor was invaluable.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that after the break.
Welcome back to Life by Design right here on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Today we're talking to Matshidiso Lelaka from Diepkloof, Soweto in South Africa. She's been sharing her story of how she never gave up on her dream, and she's actually now a doctor, and she once cleaned hotel rooms and waited tables to make sure that she realizes her dream. And now on the line, we are joined by her supervisor that she was telling us about, who has been very instrumental in making sure that she never gives up, she gets to where she wants to be. And this is the section where we introduce our surprise guest. So Matshidiso knew nothing about this part. And so Professor Azuhangwisi Helen Mabandu Mudzusi is joining us on the line right now. Welcome to Channel Africa, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, Prof, today was sharing that you are the one who inspired her to pursue her PhD. You pushed her and you said there is no way that you're going to end at masters. You have to take it all the way. What did you see in her that made you think that she'll be able to do this?
Matshidiso was one of the first students I supervised when I joined the University of South Africa. And University of South Africa is an open distance university. So normally we don't see the students. But the moment I saw Matshidiso's first draft of proposal, I gave comments. The following day, she phoned me and said, "Where can I find you? Where's your office?" I find her sitting, waiting for me to say, "Just give me proper guidance." So I had to give her guidance, and from there, she just followed whatever is supposed to be done. And when you recommend something like, "Go and read this article," the following day, Matshidiso will be saying, "I've managed to get so many articles and I'm working on it, Prof." Then I see that this is one of the students who, if I manage well, we are going to have our future PhD students. So that's why when she completed a master's, though unfortunately she didn't get cum laude, which we were expecting, because the quality of her work deserved cum laude, but she didn't get it. It was something around, I can't remember. Though one of the examiner gave her cum laude 75%, but somebody, the people review things differently. Then she said, "No, at least I have MPH, I think I'm fine." I said, "You are not going to stop there, because there's no one who's called master. Nobody will say Master Lelaka, master. It's like you haven't done anything. So you need to continue and do your PhD." And she was giving some excuses like, "No, I can't do it because I want to do this. I want to focus on this." I said, though you are, remember, this is open distance. As long as you are able to manage your time, you are going to make it, because I don't think we need to just waste what we have also achieved during your master's, because at her master's level, she was checking the experiences of people living serodiscordant couple, where one partner is HIV positive, one partner is HIV negative. And we realized a lot of problems. So I said, if we get so many problems, who is going to make sure that we implement to address these problems? So you are going to continue doing it. I don't need any excuse for that.
So she really had no choice but to say yes.
Yes.
Prof, did you at any point know about her story that has now been all over social media and other media houses, that she had to come up with means to educate herself?
I was not even aware of history. Most of the time, as long as the student is working and is doing what we want, we don't even probe further. But what I have realized while I was interacting with her was that she strived for excellence, and she was not afraid of taking risk. Because I think in the process of me working with her, she might have taken 2 or 3 jobs where she will just resign, saying, "Prof, I'm resigning from this job." And I said, "But how can you resign when you..." "No, I'm going to this one. Remember, this is a contract work and whatever. No, I'll see where I will be." But you could see that is a woman who's self-propelling, wanting to achieve and go to the highest height.
A very, very driven woman. She's all over the media. And how proud are you to have been associated with this kind of success story?
The moment she told me that, "Prof, go and buy what newspaper? I can't remember.
The
My
Star
story
newspaper.
Yes, my story is there, but I've also mentioned you. The moment I look at the story, I felt like, shoo, I didn't even know that I'm carrying a dynamite which is coming from the ground and about to explode. But I felt so proud of being associated with her. And maybe I missed something. Most of the students I supervised at master's level, they never published their work. But with her, immediately after she graduated her master's, she started drafting the article and say, Prof, here's the article. Let's finalize it and make sure that it is published. And it was published in an international journal, and it's one of those articles which are even more cited.
Thank you so much, Prof, for your time. Just one last thing. How would you encourage other students who perhaps have all the excuses that they can give to say that, no, you can also do it, having come across a Matshidiso who defied all the odds that were against her?
What I can say is all the socio-economic factors shouldn't be the obstacle, because most of the time people assume that things which are outside their environment, they are the obstacle. The obstacle is the person, him or herself. So what they need is just to come out. The rest they will see in the process. Because I think in our culture, vendor culture, they say we assist the cow which is assisting itself. So if they start to take a step, they'll find people on the way who will support them to reach the highest heights.
Now, I want to put Tshidi on the spot and ask her to thank you. I know she has perhaps maybe done that, but where everybody's hearing the whole continent, because we talk to Africans all over the continent, what would you like to say to Professor Matshidiso?
Hi, Prof.
Hi, Tshidi.
I usually...
You're sorry, how, doctor?
Yeah, doctor.
Thank you so much for beginning the journey with me and for trusting me throughout the challenges that I even had, and for being patient as well sometimes when I was dragging my feet, and for pushing me to the limits as well. And I got the message that we need to work even harder than this. I don't know what is harder than this mean now.
So what does harder than this mean now? So she doesn't end here. There's more work that is coming, Prof, hey?
We need to publish the work she has done. We also need to co-supervise with me other students because we need to plow back to the community. I have plowed back, and now it's her turn to plow back, Professor Lelaka.
She's getting there. Thank you so much, Professor Matshidiso, for those wise words, and thank you for the journey that you have walked with Tshidi. We really appreciate your time here on Channel Africa.
Okay, thank you very much.
Tshidi, now we're hearing that the journey continues until you get to the professor level. Are you ready for that?
The title of professor was never on my mind, but then plowing back, I'm ready to do it, and I've already started.
How have you started plowing back?
Plowing back, I do it in different ways. When you look at my profession, I'm surrounded by social work intervention, extreme psychosocial services, and I have been reaching out to the community. Each time when there's any student social worker that need intervention, I'm more than prepared to intervene and assist as much as possible. I supervise UNISA student at third and fourth year level. Sometimes I used to supervise UJ student at final year students. I used to sit at the oral exams and allocate marks. I used also to supervise, including auxiliary social workers. And it has been an ongoing journey. And for me, I like it because it's fulfilling to make a difference in someone else's life. So it's part of me. It's not a difference. And also now, because I'm a new researcher in the field, I'm looking forward to sharpen my research skills and knowledge. and expand into different avenues of research at the same time, and also share these research skills with those who are coming behind me as much as possible.
And back home in your community, is there a way that you're encouraging youngsters to never give up on their dreams, just like you did? Not
In my community, I've been part of Rotary International, belonging to Soweto Rotary Club. Although it's no longer active now, it's an international organization where a lot of business people and professional people met together to share their knowledge and skills and make a difference in the community to benefit the disadvantaged. So a lot of people, they come as much as possible. In church, people reach out to me, being psychosocial problems, when people have challenges with not sure what to follow in terms of career, we sit down, and I always make time for people. I know I have a very hectic schedule, but then I try very hard to schedule time with them.
And do you ever sit down as a family and reflect and take it all in?
Yeah, we do that because I have nieces, I have cousins, and they are also following in our shows at the same time. So we start very young to say, okay, let's just talk informally. What do you want to be? Which subjects do you like? Do you want to work with people, or do you want to work in office? We start very young, and as I speak, we have quite 4 siblings that are at universities, doing very well, following the path that they wish to follow without any problem, without any doubt, direct profession that they want to follow. And even the little ones that are coming, we push them to say, you start now. You don't want to be trapped in a profession that you don't want to do. You don't want to study a degree that you'll regret tomorrow. So it's easier to start early and help them in terms of planning and supporting them at the same time. We weigh options, we show advantages and disadvantages of professions. So it's an open discussion in my family. It's always there.
And one last thing, how would you encourage a person that finds themselves in a life of poverty and they think that their life will never change and it ends there? How would you help them lift themselves up from that kind of a situation?
Hope is everything. When you live, you really need to have hope, because today certainly will never be like tomorrow. So we really need to be the circumstances of our decisions and not of our circumstances. We need to show the results and make decisions based on what we went through. You don't use your excuses. I know sometimes it's hard and challenging, but then you reach out for help. Somebody next to you, go out to them. Don't be scared, because it's somebody else who will lift your hand up and take you to where you want to be, because a lot of people have been successful through the help of other people, even if it's not their own initiative as such. But then taking one step, continue to dream. Don't ever bury that dream. Dream big. It's possible. Yes, challenges will come with that. Make peace with challenges, because challenges are just temporary. And if you're not focused, they will disrupt you and your plan. So embrace that by all means, that it's part of the journey, and focus on the goal, because when you focus on the goal, your goal should drive you every day to say, I want to achieve that, I want to achieve that. So the time, it's now. It's now, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised to everybody. Just take one step.
Take one step at a time, continue dreaming and know that it's possible, have hope,
Yeah.
and continue and dream big, and you
Dream
will
big.
achieve it. Well, that was Dr. Matshidiso Lelaka for you right here at Channel Africa. Thank you so much. Your story is so inspirational, and I'm sure a lot of people will be inspired as they hear it,
I hope
as much
so.
as all the other ones that have been marveling when they saw your story out there
Yeah.
have been inspired as well. Thank you for making the time and joining us right here on Life by Design.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
This has been Life by Design on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Let's connect on Facebook. It's Living Life by Design. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at living_life by design. From myself, Amanda Machaga, producer Ziamin Tlenyama Mbongiseni Choma, Bradley Chabalala, and technical producer Wiseman Mangnele. Till next time, and remember, you are the architect of your life.